You know, there's a war being fought inside your home, right now, every single day. And it's not a new one. It's actually a century-old battle, a real clash of titans over the electricity that powers pretty much everything we do. And here's the crazy part. The side that lost a first time around, they might just be getting ready for a huge comeback. So yeah, let's dive right in. I mean, it sounds kind of crazy, but just think about it for a second. What if the power coming out of your walls is obsolete? What if that whole system we take for granted is actually inefficient, outdated, and literally wasting energy every single second? That's really the big question we're going to dig into.
Okay, so to really get what's happening now, we gotta rewind, like way back. We're talking the late 1800s, the Gilded Age, a time when electricity basically was magic. And this is where two of the biggest brains of the time went totally head-to-head.
So in one corner, you've got the man himself, Thomas Edison, the famous inventor, right? And he's all in on his system, direct current, or DC. And in the other corner, you have the absolute genius, Nikola Tesla, championing something different, alternating current, or AC. And let me tell you, this was way more than just a technical disagreement. This was a personal, full-blown rivalry.
And this whole thing moved fast. I mean, really fast. In the 1880s, Edison's DC was the star, lighting up parts of New York City. But then, boom, 1893, the World's Fair, and AC, backed by Westinghouse, just completely steals the show. The real nail in the coffin, though, was in 1896. They managed to send power from Niagara Falls all the way to Buffalo. That's over 20 miles, using AC. That was something DC just couldn't pull off. Game over. AC had won.
So how did AC do it? What was its secret weapon? Well, it was this thing right here, the transformer. This was an absolute game changer. It could take low-voltage electricity, step it up to a super high voltage to send it miles and miles with almost no energy loss, and then step it back down so it was safe to use in your house. DC just had nothing that could compete. Honestly, this one invention is the reason AC took over the entire planet.
And with that, AC's victory was total. It became the foundation, the very thing that built the modern world as we know it. So let's talk about that legacy for a second.
I mean, for more than 100 years, AC was king. Its rule was absolute. It wasn't just a standard, it was the global standard. It was the lifeblood of the industrial age, powering our factories, our cities, and, yeah, eventually all of our homes. The electrical grid you're plugged into right now, it's a direct monument to AC's victory.
Here's a fun little side note from all this. As AC spread, the world kind of split into two camps. Here in North America, we standardized on 60 Hz, but over in Europe and most of the rest of the world, they went with 50 Hz. They thought it was a bit more efficient back then. So yeah, it's all still AC, just marching to a slightly different beat.
But, and this is where the story gets really interesting. While AC was busy conquering the globe on the outside, something else was quietly happening on the inside our own homes. Without anyone really noticing, DC started to make its comeback.
So you're probably thinking, hold on, if AC won so completely, why are we even talking about this? It's a great question. And the answer? Well, it's literally all around you.
Seriously, just look around you right now. The laptop or phone you might be watching this on, its charger, the LED lights overhead, your computer, your TV, all that cool modern tech, none of it actually runs on AC. It all runs on DC. We've built this weird world where we live in an AC house that's secretly filled to the brim with DC stuff.
You know all those clunky black power bricks you've got plugged in everywhere? Think of each one as a tiny little war zone. It's got one job, to take the AC from the wall and convert it into the DC your gadget actually needs. And it's a messy fight. It wastes a ton of energy just by getting warm. Feel one next time it's plugged in. That heat is just wasted electricity.
So this is the crazy, inefficient journey our power takes. It starts as AC from the outlet, goes into that power brick which wastes energy as heat, turning it into DC, and then, finally, the DC power gets to your device. We are literally adding a wasteful middleman for almost everything we plug in. And when you multiply that by billions of devices, well, you get a massive, hidden energy leak happening in every home.
So, the obvious question is, what if we just skip that whole wasteful conversion step altogether? And this is where some really cool new research comes in, pouring gasoline on this old fire with some pretty compelling numbers.
Yeah, a recent paper in PMC just lays it out perfectly. They say the battle of currents has been reignited. Why? Because of huge leaps in technology, specifically things called power electronic converters. You can basically think of them as the 21st century version of the transformer, but for DC. They can manage DC voltage super efficiently, fixing the exact problem that caused DC to lose the first war.
So what did the research actually find? Well, in one test scenario, they found that a home wired entirely for DC power was almost 2% more efficient than the exact same home wired for AC. In another scenario, it was still a 1.41% advantage for DC. Now, I know what you're thinking, 1 or 2%, who cares? But you have to scale that up. Think about that tiny bit of savings multiplied across millions and millions of homes 24/7. The amount of energy we could save is absolutely massive.
So the bottom line is really simple. When you get rid of all those little power wasting conversions happening at every single outlet, a home running on DC is just fundamentally more efficient. The electricity takes a direct flight from the grid to your gadget. No wasteful layovers.
But look, this is way bigger than just shaving a few percentage points off your power bill. This is really about the future. It's about how we're going to power our homes as we shift towards renewable energy.
And here's the real game changer. You know the biggest source of renewable energy for homes? Rooftop solar panels. Well, guess what? They're already on Team DC. The power they generate naturally, straight from the sun, is direct current.
Just look at how crazy the journey is for solar power in a normal AC house today. The panel makes DC power. Then an inverter works hard to change it to AC. Then it travels through your house as AC, only to get to your laptop charger, which works hard to change it back to DC. It's absurd. In a DC home, though, it's a clean, direct, super efficient highway from your roof right to your device. No pointless conversions.
And all of this is leading to a really cool concept, the DC microgrid. Just picture it, your whole house running on its own smart local DC network. Your solar panels, your home battery, your lights, your electronics, all speaking the same native language. It's not just way more efficient, it's also more stable, more resilient, and it's a perfect fit for a future powered by renewables.
So think about this. The one big advantage that made AC the undisputed champ over 100 years ago, well, technology has basically made it obsolete. Our homes are already packed with DC devices, and we're starting to power them with DC sources like solar. So the real question now isn't if the battle of currents is back on, it's who's going to win this time.